class, one of the classes, I have built a local area network without doing any configuration on the device. So what I did in that class, I just dropped a switch. Why is this not right now? I just dropped a switch. Okay. I just dropped a switch. I drop a switch like this, connected computer to the switch, and then I tested for connectivity. That's a local area network, guys. We've been building local area network in this class. Most of the times I do something like this, I build a local area network. That is a good example of no local area network. So why am I not configuring the switch? Configure, meaning make the switch to do some things that is beyond the basic stuff, because we have not reached that level. So another thing you need to understand is this. The switch can work as plug and play. When I say plug and play, meaning you just go and buy the switch, power the switch, connect computer to the switch, and then computers are talking to themselves. You can plug printer to the switch, you print to that printer. You can do whatever we do as the switch is working as plug and play. And we also have some switches. We call them managed switches. Managed switches. When you hear managed switches, it simply means your managed switch. It can be managed switch. It simply means it is a switch that you can configure. This is one of the things that makes CNA big, as in the curriculum. So all of the technology we can use the switch to achieve, like security, post security, like VLAN, like what again? There are other stuffs. We are now going to begin to configure them on the switch when we get to the next level. So in today's class, I want to introduce you guys into the world of Cisco Switch. And if you know how to configure a Cisco switch, you can configure any switch anywhere in the world. HP, Juniper, Aruba, it makes no difference. Once you can configure Cisco switch, you can configure any switch in the world. So we're going to learn the basis of configuration of the switch in today's class. And then in the next class, we're going to learn the basic configuration of the router. And you guys will complement this class with those my videos that I sent to you. After the next class, after today's class, I will send the one for router, because I did this with some students and I expatiated and I even did some labs with them. So you have a lot of work to do. So don't just bank on what I will teach you in today's class. You need to watch those videos. You need to complement the class, the training with those videos. So let's start the journey. Your switch, your Cisco switch, has an operating system. Just like a regular computer has an operating system, the switch has an operating system. That operating system is called Cisco IOS. Cisco IOS. Cisco Internetwork Operating System. That is the operating system running a Cisco switch. The same operating system is running on a Cisco router. For those of you that don't know much about operating system, it's like when you have your computer, you have Windows 10, Windows 11, and so on and so forth. Windows 10, Windows 11, Windows 8. All of these operating systems, they are the reason why your computer is working, why you can use the computer. The same principle applies to your devices. Without the operating systems, these devices cannot work. And guess what? This Cisco switch I'm talking about, it also has hardware. Like what? Same thing you see in a normal computer. It has RAM, it has CPU, it has ports, which like your USB and the rest, but we have network port. It has NVRAM, which is equivalent of your hard drive. We don't call it NVRAM, that's the storage. It has another storage we call flash. That is where the operating system resides. It has motherboard, just like your regular computer. In other words, your switch is just a special purpose computer. Don't ever forget that. Your switch is a special purpose computer. Your router is a special purpose computer. All the components you talk about on the router, on the switch, on computer, they are there. It even has a ROM. If you have done IT Essential, if you have done Computer Plus, all of those components are in these devices. So these ones are special purpose computer. So right now I'm introducing you to switch, the operating system, then the hardware components of the switch, the ROM, the RAM, the CPU, the port, NVRAM, and flash. Motherboard, of course, or they call it board. We just say board. We don't call that one motherboard. It's in the computer zone we call motherboard. So the computer has, the switch has a board. The switch has a board. So you need to understand this. So let me show you how a Cisco switch looks like. A particular model in mind. Let me show you how it looks like. So I'll go to Google right now. I'll say, let me say 2960 series, 2960 series. That one that you guys have been seeing me carrying on packet tracer. 2960 series. Look at how the switch look like. These are Cisco switches. These are Cisco switches. So you can see the physical ports or the physical body. You can see it has multiple ports. If you open it up, it has CPU, it has RAM, it has NVRAM, it has a board, it has ROM, it has a flash. It has an operating system just like a regular computer. When we get to the router, we're also going to talk about that one. So now we are going somewhere, guys. So this switch here as it is now, if I want to network a place and I don't know about configuration, I don't need to crack my brain. If I don't know about it, maybe I'm just a roadside engineer. I will just carry the switch. I don't even need this kind of switch because they are very expensive. There are Cisco switches that you buy at as much as $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. You don't need all those expensive switches. You can just buy small business solution. Cisco small business switch. Small switches are no more than maybe 100,000, 200,000, equivalents of $100. Look at them here. You just buy one of these switches and mount it, put it somewhere, connect all your computers to this switch, and you have networked the place. But for us in CCNA, we are being trained to handle enterprise network, where they use big switches, they use big routers, and they do some advanced configuration on those devices. That is why we are going this direction where we're going right now. Please, if you can hear me, let me see your thumbs up. Okay, good. That is where we are going, where we're going right now. So we are going to learn how to configure the switch. So now I have told you about some of the ports you have on the switch. I want to show you again. There are ports on the switch we call management ports. There are ports on the switch we call network ports. Those ones we use for just for the purpose of connection. These management ports here that I just mentioned right now, console port is one of the management ports. You see that port on the switch. You see another port called auxiliary port. This is not even common again. These two ports that I mentioned right now, they are called management port. So why are they called management port? This port, especially the console port, it's there for the purpose of initial configuration. If the switch has never been configured and I want to access the switch for the first time, I need to use a console port. And this is what we are going to see in today's class. And so let's say now I drop a switch right now. I want to configure the switch now. The switch has a port called console port. I will show you guys. So how do I configure this switch? For the first time, you cannot configure the switch without a computer. You need a computer to configure a switch. And on that computer, there is a software that you're going to use to configure the switch. I'm going to show all of this. So when you want to configure your switch, the first thing you do with that switch is to establish a physical connection to the switch using a cable called console cable. Let me show you console cable. Console cable. You use that cable to connect to the switch for the purpose of configuration. Console cable. Look at our console cable here. There are console cable that uses USB. Look at this one here, because most of the laptops nowadays, they have USB port. There are, in those days, this is the one we used when I was a student. This go to the serial port at the back of my computer. And the other hand, which is RJ45, look at it here. RJ45, it goes to the switch. So before you configure any switch, you got to first of all establish physical connection. Just running a cable, plug it on your computer if it is serial, and if it is USB, plug it on the computer, and you take it the other hand to the switch, which we are going to do right now. It's not enough to just establish this kind of physical connection. You must also establish logical connection to your switch. And there are different software we use to establish logical connection. Number one, we can use PuTTY. I will show you guys. We can use Teratam. We can use Terminal. Yes, Terminal. These are different softwares we can launch on our computer that will enable us to establish a logical connection to the switch. So don't forget, for you to configure your switch, you need to first of all have a physical connection. Then you also need to have a logical connection. Physical connection is you carry your cable, you plug to your laptop, console cable, and plug to the switch. Logical connection, you use one of the softwares I've just mentioned to connect to the switch. Let me show you what the PuTTY here. I have PuTTY on my laptop. This is one of the software we can use to configure our switch. It's called PuTTY. I can use this. I used to have Teratam, but I don't think I have Teratam again. I don't have Teratam again. So let me show you how Teratam look like. So I can use this, I can use Teratam, I can use Terminal. So this is how PuTTY looks like. So if I want to configure a live switch right now, I need this kind of software. And I'm going to show you down the road how you can make use of this. So what if I want to use another one, like Teratam? Look at how Teratam look like. Teratam. So this is what I'm looking for. I hope I can expand it. It not allow me to expand. Okay, I just hope you guys can see it. Look at the interface of Teratam. This is the first interface of Teratam, followed by this place. So we can use PuTTY, we can use Teratam, we can use Terminal. Any of these softwares, we can use them to configure our router. These softwares will enable you to establish a logical connection to your device. Let's go and see it at work on Packet Tracer. So for those of you that have been saying you don't know how to use Packet Tracer, now we are beginning to learn how to use Packet Tracer. So you need to download Packet Tracer and put on your system. You can download it from the Cisco website. I can drop it in the group for you guys to pick it up from there. Either way, you will still have it. So I did a video, a class on Packet Tracer basics. I think I also gave you guys the link so you can watch that video also. So you see how do you design the network by yourself. But most of the labs we are going to be doing as we proceed in this training, you are not going to be designing labs by yourself. You will be launching the labs that Cisco has already designed. So don't forget that. Take note of that. So now I want to bring out a switch. Please watch that video on Packet Tracer basis. I'll click a switch here. Look at the switch I want here. I will drag it and bring it out. I want to configure this switch. I need a computer. I'll click computer. I can carry laptop, I can carry desktop, carry one and bring out. Now I want to establish a physical connection. So for me to establish a physical connection, I'll click the connection. Look at connection here. I'll click this connection. The cable I need is console cable. Look at console cable. There are different cables here. See console, see straight through, see crossover. I need console. I'll click this console. Watch out. By the time I go to this computer, like click this computer, which of the ports am I going to connect to? Here now, I'm going to connect to RS232. That's my serial port. I've been saying I will try this USB in this packet tracer. I've never tried it. I always forget. So I'll click this. You watch out, guys. By the time I take it to the switch and click the switch, look at the first port, up, 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 up. You can see that one is named console. That is our management port. That is our management port. So I will just go and click that port because I want to configure this switch. All other ports you are looking at, they are just for network connection. When I say network connection, you want to browse, you want to send data, they are for network connection. But this one on top, this console port here, is for the purpose of initial configuration of the switch. I'll click that port. I have established our imaginary physical connection. This is packet tracer. It's a simulator. So anytime you want to configure a switch, you establish a physical connection. Then the next thing is to go and establish a logical connection. How do I establish a logical connection? They have also given us that kind of opportunity in packet tracer. I will click the computer. I will go to desktop. I will go to terminal. This is our imaginary teraterm, imaginary hyperterminal, a software that depicts something in the real world. Now you're going to see some settings there. You don't touch anything here. When I was a student, they would tell you under flow control, you should select hardware. Then we realize that whether you select hardware or you don't select hardware, it still works. So we don't touch anything. And ladies and gentlemen, if I just click OK right now, this is what you are going to see. The switch is done booting and it's showing me press enter to get started. What does that mean? Hit enter on your laptop to get started. The moment I hit enter right now, I am in a switch. I hit enter, I am in a switch. And you take a look at the switch. The name of the switch is switch by default. There are some other information I'm going to come and talk about later, like the version of the operating system that we're using in this switch is version 15.0. This is the operating system itself, C9, C2960 LAN-based K9. There are other information like how can you see the RAM of this switch? How do you see the NVRAM and all of those things? But first and first, we need to establish connection to the switch. We need to have access into that switch. Am I communicating, guys? I hope I'm not speaking Latin today for people that were shouting on subnetting. Subnetting. We are here again. No, this one no be calculation or configuration. Yeah, okay. Give me thumbs up, guys. Good. So I'm going to give room for questions. Just let me do a few things, then I'll give you guys room for questions. I'll give room. It's going to be a bit more interactive this time around. I'll pause the recording, allow you guys to ask questions, then we'll continue like that. We're going to be moving in between. So now, guys, the journey has started. I want to configure this switch. The first thing that is recommended for you to do in the switch is to name the switch. But where I am right now, I cannot give this switch a name. And where I am right now, guys, is what we call user executive mode. User executive mode. This prompt with this greater than sign, we call it user executive mode. Sometimes we just say exec. User executive mode. So one of the things you need to find out when you get into this mode is to see the commands that you can issue like this mode. And how do you get to see the commands in this environment? Not a big deal. You just press, you just put question mark. The moment I put question mark, look at my question mark here. I'm going to see all the commands that are available in this environment. This is what we call command line interface, CLI. This is why some people don't like Cisco. I don't like command line. You cannot run, if you don't know command line, if you cannot learn command line, you cannot do Cisco. All these devices that we are going to be learning, they are not GUI. And the good news is down the road, there are all kinds of GUI devices out there now. But once you already know command line, it's a plus for you. It's like you know Linux. You know command line, that is CMD in Windows. It's going to be a plus for you. It's going to be a walkover for you when you now get to an environment where you are doing GUI. Because there are some things you cannot do in GUI environment. You got to go to command line. So in this environment right now, I can say, okay, I can use connect command. I can use disable. I can use disconnect. I can use enable. I can exit. I can log out. I can ping. I can do so. All these commands, we are going to make use of almost all of these commands in this environment as we proceed. So, but what do I want to do, guys? I want to give this switch a name. How do you give this switch a name? I can't give this switch name yet. I need to move to a higher level. I need to go to another RAM. And that RAM is called privilege mode. How do I go to that RAM? I will type this command, enable. So I'll type enable. Guys, if I type enable right now, what am I trying to do? I want to change the RAM. I want to move from a lower RAM to a higher RAM. Watch out what is going to happen. The moment I hit enter, my prompt has changed. My prompt changed from users mode to another environment we call privilege mode. Users mode to privilege mode. This is a different RAM. This is another RAM. This is higher RAM. If I want to see all the commands that are available in this RAM, all I need to do is put question mark again. So if I put question mark in that RAM now, you will see what is available there. Plenty command, guys. And when you see more, that means there are more, than. So you can press enter to be seeing them one line at a time, or you press space bar to see everything down. So if you scroll up now, you're going to see plenty command at this environment. I can use a clear command. I can set clock. I can move to another RAM. I can do copy. So I can erase. So some of the commands that are in this place, like half of it, we're going to make use of them as well. We're going to make use of SSH. We're going to make use of telnet. We're going to make use of traceroute. We're going to make use of ping. We're going to make use of reload. We're going to make plenty of things. So why am I showing you the use of this question mark? Because at the initial stage, as you are starting this journey, some of these commands you are going to forget it. You need to now know how to navigate because you know what you want to do. So you can use command question mark to navigate, try to navigate where you're going to. Okay, guys. I said we want to name the switch. But do you know where we are right now? We still cannot name the switch. We need to move higher again. Where are we going to? We are going to a higher level. It's called global configuration mode. How do we get there? That's where we can begin to, that's where we can have the key to the kingdom. So if I just say configure terminal and hit enter, look at what my prompt is giving me right now. This is what we call global configuration mode. Global configuration mode. I am now in another realm now. This is where I have the keys to the kingdom. I can begin to do and undo. I can make this switch to stand and dance from here on. So you don't give a junior administrator access to this environment. You give them access to user mode and privilege mode so that you can call them to, okay, check this, check that one for me. But the key to the kingdom, from here, you don't give them the keys to the kingdom. Same question mark we've been using. If I put question mark right now, look at things we can do. These are devastating stuff that can be done. And some of the commands you are seeing here, they have other commands inside them. They have other commands inside them. So I can do a lot of stuff from here. But guys, what I want to do, I want to name the switch. Look at the command I need. That command is only available at global configuration mode. What will it do? It will give the switch a name. So I can set the name and say host name. Which name will I give the switch? Best practice. Give the switch the name based on the location of the switch. Case in point, let's say you have some switches that belongs to GTB Bank, Jos, GTB Bank, Port Harcourt, this is GTB. So all the switches in a particular brand, they should carry the name of that location. GTB Bank, Jos, maybe floor 1, floor 2, floor 3. If there are multiple switches there, give the switch name based on the location where the switch is. If you don't do that, if you just name all of them switch, or let's say GTB, the day you will need to troubleshoot, and you want to log in remotely, and all of them are showing you switch, or GTB, you won't even know which one you want to enter. And let's say they said you were told that the problem is in first floor, second floor, third floor. You don't even know which switch is which. So the name needs to guide you. Best practice, give the switch a name based on the location of the switch. So in this class, I'm going to just give this switch CCNA. Guys, watch out. The moment I hit enter, the name of my switch has changed to CCNA. How did I achieve that? I changed RAM. I went to a RAM where I can give the switch a name, which is called global configuration mode. So many things can be done from this environment, but this is the only thing I want to do now. I'm going to reverse, set some other things before we now go to some advanced stuff. Okay, what other things can I do? I want to give this switch, I want to set the clock on the switch, because by default, the time on the switch is not always correct. And where I am right now, if you take a look at all the commands here now, did you see clock there? Look at clock here. That means I can also set clock time on this switch. So I'm going to say clock. I can't remember. No, this is not the one I'm looking for. So I need to get out of this environment by using exit command. Clock is set at privilege mode. Exit command takes you a step backward. Watch out, guys. Hit enter. I'm back to privilege mode. So you need to know how to climb the ladder, and you need to know how to come down from the ladder. I went to global configuration mode. I took a step backward to privilege mode. So right now I am at privilege mode. What do I want to do? I want to set time. If I put question mark again, I can see clock here. This is the one I'm looking for. Clock. So if I say clock, now I can't remember the full command. I'll use question mark. Okay, the next one is set. I use question mark. Now I can see the pattern here. Hours will come before minutes, before second. In fact, before that, let me show you the time on this switch. Show clock. Look at the time this switch is giving us. This switch has taken us back to 1993. Probably this is when the switch was manufactured. And this time is not correct. So we can set time on the switch. Yeah. We can set time on the switch. So we say clock set. So I put question mark. You see hour first. So this is 06 colon 48 colon. This is 0. The next thing is date. I always mix this one up to. I think it's 6th. No, that's 25th now. 25th June 2025. I got it. So if I say show clock again now, you see that the date is now corrected. I have done two things now on this switch. I've named the switch. In fact, more than two things. I've moved from users mode to privilege mode. From privilege mode to global configuration mode. From global configuration, I named the switch. I took a step backward. I set clock on the switch. Few things. I'm going to do some basic stuff now before we leave this place and do another set of stuff. Whenever you do something on the switch, you do any configuration, when you are done with your configuration, you should save your job. On a normal computer, when you are working, all your configuration, or let me say all your work are in your RAM, you know that. So if NEPA takes light, everything is gone. The same thing with your switch. All these our configuration are sitting down in the RAM. So we want to move it into NVRAM, which is our permanent storage center for our configuration files, guys. Everything we are doing right now is called configuration files. We have the default configuration file. We have the ones we are adding. So whenever you are working, you copy your job from the RAM into NVRAM. Copy your job from the RAM into NVRAM. So new commands now, guys. New commands. So what do I want to do? I want to copy what I have done so far. How do I copy that? I will say copy running config. What do I mean by running configuration? Everything that is in the RAM right now is what we call running configuration. Everything we have in the RAM right now is called running configuration. Then startup config. We are copying what is running in the RAM. We are putting it in the NVRAM. And what is in the NVRAM is called startup config or backup config. It's like a backup of our configuration file. It's like if you are doing something on your computer, they take light. If you have saved, you have saved. By the time light comes, you can go and launch it again. Copy running config, spacebar, startup config. If I hit enter, it will tell me that the name of this file in that NVRAM is startup config. If I want to accept it, I will hit enter again, and I'm good to go. These are part of what you need to learn. You need to learn how to save your job from the RAM into NVRAM. That's a new command. I'm going to add a few more things before I give room for question. Thank you, guys. There's another thing we always advocate. We tell your student to set on the switch. Banner MOTD. What is banner MOTD? Some set of people call it message of the day. You want to warn the bad guys that this switch is not accessible. They should not try to enter the switch. It is a deterrent message. So you can go to your global configuration mode again, configure terminal. A time will come, you're going to be seeing me using shortcuts. Configure terminal. I'm going to say banner MOTD. What do I want to do? I want to give a warning message to the bad guys. So I can start with hash. I can start with, what's that? Where's that in? Yeah, I can start with this and say unauthorized access is prohibited. Please do not say you are welcome in the name of the Lord. Do as you please with my switch. I have nothing to lose. You have everything to lose. I can hit enter right now. So now, as I am right now, I want to save my job again and reload this switch. New commands. So I can go to where I came from. Exits will take me a step backward. Hit enter. I can reload this switch, meaning I want to restart this switch. You guys are going to see. I want to show you something. Reload is to restart the switch. By the time I click enter like this, it will ask me, system configuration has been modified. Save. Yes, now I want you to save it. I will hit enter. It will tell me to confirm again. I will hit enter. Now, guys, when you see something happening like this thing like I like hash or dollar sign, that is the operating system decompressing from flash. That is the operating system decompressing from flash into our RAM. I'm going to talk more about that as we proceed. Where is the message? I need you to show me. Ah, beautiful. Did you see the message here? Unauthorized access is prohibited. You got to put message that will scare out the bad guys, the threat actor on your switch. Don't allow them to just come into the switch. So these are a few commands you have learned, you need to know for now. We're going to go to some advanced stuff. You see that this switch is not asking us for password. It's just giving us access to users mode straight. That's not acceptable. We are going to have to lock down that users mode and lock down privilege mode. This is not acceptable. So before we do that, let me give room for questions. Okay, somebody said I should be allowing the questions to be recorded. Yeah, that would be a good idea. But you know, once I'll mute you people right now, some people don't have control. They will just going to be making noise everywhere. That's why, and I don't want that noise in the recording. Right? Give me a thumbs up if you see my screen. Okay, I need to mute you guys again. You're good. Right now, our switch is not passworded. See the way we access the user's mode. It did not ask us for any password. This is not acceptable. We want to password the user's mode so that when next we come or somebody try to access this, it will ask for password. And where we are right now, we cannot do that. So we have to go to global configuration mode. So we change RAM again. Enable, configure terminal. Then, what do I want to do? I want to password this user's mode. How do you password the user's mode? The first access to this switch is through a console port. So I will say line console 0. Line console 0. I am entering into that console port with this command. I will hit enter. You look at my command here, my prompt rather. It has changed to config line. That is what we call line configuration mode. So what I want to do in this place, I want to put password. I will now say password. So let's say Cisco. I will hit enter. That's not the end of the journey. I will say login. If you only stop by after the password, it will not affect it. I will say login. So look at the 3 commands that I issue here. I can give you output of this command. Do show history. You see what I've just done now. I type LAN console 0 to enter into the console port. I type password and then I put the password and then I say login. And guess what? I'm done for that first stage. Let's test it and see if it will work. I can get out of this environment and save. How do I get out? Instead of pressing exit and going backward one after the other, I can just press Ctrl Z. Ctrl Z will take me to privilege mode. Now I want to save my job, my configuration. I want to use the old command. There's one command called write. Write will do the same thing as what we did earlier. I hit enter. It has saved my job. Now I want us to see whether this thing work or not. Let me just log out of this switch. Just the same way you log out of computer. So that to now, we're now trying to log in again. By the time you hit enter, did you see? Unauthorized access is prohibited. This time around, this switch is asking me for password. Why is he asking me for password before he can give me user's mode? Because we put it. We put the password. Nobody can ask question now until I'm done. We put the password. So the password is Cisco. I will type the password and take note. When you're typing the password, it does not display. I'll hit enter. And guess what, guys? We're in user's mode. 3 lines of commands. We put password on this switch. Line console 0. Then you say password, you put the password, then they say you log in, you save your job. It is effected already. But guess what again? If I continue this journey, I want to go to privilege mode. Hit enter. There is no password for privilege mode. And this also is not acceptable. Since we have the opportunity to password the user's mode, password the privilege mode, then we have to do it. So I want to also password the privilege mode. So I'll go to global configuration mode again. And this time around, it's just one line of command. Enable password. Remember, when we want to go to privilege mode, we say enable. Enable password. Let's say class. And hit enter. Just one line of command. This is the command. Enable password. Password for enable. When we want to go to privilege mode is class. If I leave this environment right now, save my job, and log out, you'll see this time around, when I want to go into the switch, it's going to ask me for password. And I have to give 2 different passwords. See now, the first one, I will put Cisco to give me access to privilege mode, users mode. If I try to go to privilege mode, it will ask me for another password. So this is now more or less like you have multiple layers of defense on your switch. The next password is class before I can now access the privilege mode. So I have passworded my users mode. I have passworded my privilege mode. Can we confirm what we have done? New command again, guys. New command. I want to see what is in the RAM. Show running config. Show me what is got in the RAM. If I hit enter right now, look at what we got. Our enable password is class. Host name is CCNA. I can scroll down. The password for line console 0 is Cisco. Oh, are we good with what we have done? It's not good enough. If somebody is looking behind me right now, the person can see my user's mode as Cisco. Line console password. The person can see my password for privilege mode. So this is not good enough. So that's why we recommend you encrypt your password. How do I encrypt all the password? I go to global configuration mode again. Now this is a way to shorten it. I can say service, password, encryption. Service, password, encryption. I hit enter. If I go back to that show run, guys, you will see how my password have been encrypted. Look at my enable password here. You can't make sense of it. It has been encrypted. If I go down again, look at my LAN console password. It has been encrypted. So if somebody is looking behind me right now, on my shoulder right now, the person cannot know my password. But guess what, guys? There is a software called Cain and Abel. it can crack this password. If somebody is able to copy this and put it in Cain and Abel, it will show them the real password. That's why we're going to go to another level. So the IT feed is Conimandai, Conimandberium, Conimandai, Conimandberium, Conimandai, Conimandberium, Conimandai, Conimandberium. The bad guys are trying us. We are also trying to stay more secure. That is the way this thing. But at least for now, we have defended ourselves from onlooker, somebody that is just looking behind, not a sophisticated hacker. But the person can also copy it. If you're not dealing with a sophisticated hacker or threat actor, you can copy this password, put in Cain and Abel, and they will see everything. But that is if the person has access to my router or my switch rather. So you need to be aware of that, guys. You need to be aware of that. So now we have configured password for users mode. We have configured password for privilege mode. These are the basic stuff we do on our switch. Basic. We've not gone anything advanced, so we've not gone anything advanced. So right now on this switch, I have two different passwords. I have Cisco, I have class. And please don't ever mix this thing up. Cisco is to enter users mode. Class is to go to privilege mode. Don't ever mix them up. Cisco is to go to your users mode. Class is to enter privilege mode. And there's another thing I will advise you guys. Don't think you listen to me in the class and that's all. If you don't practice lab on your own, it's not going to work. You got to practice. You got to practice. So I'm going to send, I don't know if I've sent those labs. I'm going to send 1 or 2 labs to you guys when we're done. I'm going to send labs on navigating the OS and lab on configuring the initial switch setting. The next one is on telnet and SSH. I'm going to take care of those ones in our next class on okay. Oh, I didn't want to enter next week. There's no, I'm not going to enter next week. That will be, I thought I was thinking today is Friday. That will be on Friday then. I'll take care of that on Friday. Then on Monday, I will finish the router configuration. But once you understand the one for switch very well, the router is also a walkover. That's why you guys need to help yourself by listening to those videos, the one I have taught those other guys, because I'm going to post the one for router after this class. So on Friday, we'll finish the switch on because I don't want to mix the telnet SSH thing to what we are doing right now. Look at this thing. You see that I didn't talk about this. I've not talked about line VTY. This is used for remote logging. If you are not plugged to your device physically, you're coming spiritually into that device from outside. Now I'm in JOS. I can enter another device in UK, in US, anywhere in the world. And I'm not talking about VPN. As long as I have the IP address of the switch of the router, this virtual terminal line, I can have a remote access into that device. We have not configured it now. So that's why if you don't configure your line VTY or for remote access, even you cannot have access into that device. Let me give you an example. You are in the university environment, you work there. You have gone far away from the server room and then they call you somewhere and see something is wrong. Some people are not browsing, things are not working well. You don't need to run to the server room. You can just establish a remote login to the switch. Okay, you have which department, which one? You have all of those details of the switches. You have the IP addresses. You just telnet or SSH into one of those devices and check whatever you want to check because you have configured line VTY. But if line VTY is not configured, you got to go into that server room physically and plug your cable to the console port. And before you can access into have access into that device. So we're going to come to this in another class. I just want to take care of this part, this basis first. And then when we come to another class, I'm going to take care of other parts of this. Are we together, guys? Please give me thumbs up if you are flowing with me. Thank you. Thank you. So now I'm cracking my brain. I'm trying to remember if there are any other things I need to talk about here under the basics. So giving the switch a name. So let's do one more thing and then we can shut it down from here. For line console 0, this is how far we can go as far as encryption is concerned. But you know what? This encryption we have under that line console 0, and for also the other one, it's not secure. They are not secure. Their MD7 encryption is not secure. It's broken. and this is MD7. If I go up again, you're going to see that this is also MD7 for the privilege mode. It's also MD7. You can see here. This is also MD7. So we have another option for this one, for privilege mode. We can push this into MD5. It's another level of encryption that is better than this. So we can move higher for privilege mode. So how do we do that? So instead of saying enable password, when we did that thing, look at what I will do now. I'll go to global configuration mode and say enable secrets. When I issue that command before, I said enable password. So this time around, I will say enable secret. And instead of saying class, I can say class 1. It will override the other one. So when you get used to this, you don't use enable password command again. Just go straight to the encrypted one, MD5 encryption. If I hit enter right now and go out again and go to our RAM, you're going to see now there are 2 passwords there. Look at the one with MD7. Look at the one with MD5. This MD7 is no longer going to be in use. The MD5 one has overwritten the other one. And guys, look at what we have here. This is our class 1. So it is recommended that for your privilege mode, you use MD5 encryption by using enable secret command. Enable secret command. I hope I'm communicating. So don't use enable password. Just go straight. Use enable secret command. And once you do that, you are good to go. So these are part of the basic stuff we talk about when we do basics of switch configuration. We set the clock, we set the banner MOTD. Look at all of them are in our running configuration. We configure line console 0. We configure from line V12. We learn to save our job. We learn to check what is in the RAM. We can also see what is in the NVRAM. Show startup config. See, the same thing we have in the RAM is in the NVRAM because we copied into the NVRAM. That's our backup. We copied into the NVRAM. Another command, maybe I'll just start from there, is show flash. Anytime I say show flash, what am I looking for? The operating system running on this switch. That is where it is resident. It is not resident in your NVRAM. The operating system is resident in your flash. Look at our operating system here. It is resident in your flash. And you know what? I can also keep a copy of my configuration in this flash. Let me do it and show you guys. Copy running config flash. To tell me the name, the destination, and let's call it testing. Now, if I now say show flash, what was going to happen? Look at my operating system here. Look at a copy of my configuration file here, testing. So I have my configuration file in NVRAM kept there, which is the normal backup space. And I also have that configuration file kept in my flash. So what is in that flash? Normally, it's the operating system that is always in the flash. That is where the thing is loaded from. The operating system loads from the flash into the RAM, just like your normal Windows. When you power your computer, the operating system loads from the RAM into from your hard drive into the RAM. When your window is done booting, that's when you can begin to see your screen and begin to launch other applications. It's the same concept. Just that this is a switch for network connection. So these are all the possibilities. So you need to understand this. Let me see if I can talk on this command to show version. From show version, we can get some information like what? The whole iOS. And then, of course, we can get some details about the motherboard. Look at the motherboard serial number. Okay, we call this one motherboard. Look at this power pack. You can get information about the numbers of interfaces that are on this switch. There's one I'm looking for. The memory is one I'm looking for. Look at the memory here. Look at the memory here. That is 1, 2, 3. 1 to the 64 MB approximately of RAM. That's what we have in this switch here. 64 MB of RAM. I'm looking for the NVRAM one. So these are commands to check different things. And we are going to talk more about some of this as we proceed. Even the processor, look at the information about the processor. Because all the hardware we spoke about, we are going to get some information about the processor and so on and so forth. So you need to be aware of this. But this is just the beginning of the journey. We're going to do more of this as we proceed in this thing. So all the few commands that we have learned this evening, you got to sit down with them. It's not enough for you to listen to the video. You have to practice. You have to configure. That's why I told somebody that say he doesn't have a laptop. You cannot do CCNA because you need to do configuration. You need to do labs. That is how you digest those commands. That is how those commands becomes part of you. And you think you understand some of the things I'm doing here. By the time you want to practice, everything will scatter. You will say like, I thought I understood everything in the class now. It is now time for you to personalize that knowledge. So I'm going to send the packet tracer into the group after the class. You install the packet tracer. Just double click it. And please, when you want to